I am here at the Donkey Sanctuary of Canada with its founder, Sandra Pady. You founded this in 1992, so you were just mentioning it's been a long time.
Yes.
And I understand it's similar to the Donkey Sanctuary founded by Elizabeth Svensson.
Yes.
In England.
Yes.
And she provided advice to you.
Yes, she was extremely helpful. I had taken in 3 donkeys, and then I saw another donkey that was living in a very bad situation, and then I saw another one and then I was told about 9 that were going to auction to be slaughtered. So I took all of those donkeys in. I wasn't thinking ahead. We had just moved to the farm from Toronto, and I took these animals in. I had always wanted to take care of farm animals, so they were the first. But when the number got up to 12 or 13, and someone mentioned the donkey sanctuary in England, I thought, well, I should find out what this is. So I contacted them, and the founder, Elizabeth Svensson, was extremely helpful, and she told me what they were doing, and it sounded like something I could do, and so I decided to do it. I was in my early 40s. It was at a time when I was moving to another stage of my life, I think. And I'd always been interested in animal welfare, and I was particularly keen on the donkeys and their plight, and so I started the sanctuary. That was how it came to be.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now there's a lot of activity buzzing around here. It's a busy place. How many employees?
We have 22 employees now. 12 are full-time, and the others are part-time, year-round.
Okay.
And we right now have about 96 donkeys on site and 15 mules.
Wow. So total?
Those, yes, and also in 1997 we started host farms, and host farms are those places, mainly in Ontario, where people want to take care of animals, but and they hear about our work, and we visit them and find out about them. Anyway, the host farms, currently we have 37 host farms and 70-odd donkeys out there.
Oh, nice. Nice. Very good. Now, I understand you're also a writer.
Well, I'm a writer in that I published a memoir, and I'm a writer in that when I was acting, when I was the ED of the organization, I used to write the newsletter, and I wrote, publicity things, but I don't know whether that qualifies me really as a writer or not.
Well, it's called The Donkeys and Me, a memoir?
Yes.
Published in 2017?
Published in, yes, 2017 as a matter of fact.
Tell us a bit about it. What are some of your favorite stories from the book?
Well, I could go on for a long time with favorite stories. One of the donkeys that we took in way back in the 1990s was named Solo, and he was a very large donkey, and he had been born in northeastern Quebec, and the people who were taking care of him heard of our work. This was just in 1993 and 94. Somebody came to interview me. We had just formed the sanctuary, and the article was picked up by CP, and it went across Canada. And these people in northeastern Quebec heard about us and contacted us, and they had to have a neighbor speak with us because they didn't speak English, and they wondered if we would take in their donkey Solo and his father Tic Tac. So not only did we take them in, my friend Virginia and I drove up there. It was about a 15-hour drive to get them and bring them back, and Solo came to us, and when he came to us, of course, he had only heard French being spoken, so he didn't understand early on. And secondly, he had been bottle fed because his mother died when he was born. And being bottle fed, he had bonded with his human caretaker to the point that he didn't really didn't feel comfortable at all with anyone other than humans. So Solo lived with us for about 10 years, and I remember with great fondness, sometimes I would take him out of the barnyard and we would walk around the farm, and he just loved walking along without any lead or anything, but just walking with us. And then he'd come back and he'd walk up to the house and he'd look into our window just to see what we were doing. And Solo was really quite a donkey.
Yeah.
Quite a donkey.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, having been with around donkeys for over 3 decades, have you learned anything? Have you gained any insights? So I'm very much interested in cognitive behavior as a professor. Do they speak a language that we don't quite yet understand? Do they communicate in ways?
Yes, they do. Their body language is very subtle, but very clear.
Is that right?
When it's obvious, like if a donkey is put into a situation that is not in its interest, the animal stands still, assesses the situation, and proceeds if it's in its interest to do so.
Yeah, right.
Humans are always very frustrated by this because humans like the other animals to obey them instantly. And when they don't, it's almost like the human is being made fun of. And that I think is the major reason why donkeys are called stubborn and stupid. And because they only behave, or they bring a lot of reasoning to their behavior, whereas horses are flight animals, and when there's something threatening them, they run away.
Right.
Donkeys stand still. So have I learned? I have learned that living in the moment is really the only moment that we have. And in 1992, when I started taking in animals, I had at that point been doing transcendental meditation for a couple of decades, but the animals kind of underline that fact that when you're in the moment, that's all that you have, and you just breathe in and out. And I find, and so many other people find, when they see the when they're with the donkeys, when they're in their company, when they have the opportunity to stand with them for a while, the calmness and the almost intense calmness that the animals send out is a very soothing element and experience for people. So I've learned that from the donkeys, to live in the moment.
Interesting. Do you find that they may display levels of awareness that we might call consciousness? Like, are they aware of what's going on?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are. Donkeys, like all of the animals, are different from us. They aren't less than us, they're different from us. And donkeys are certainly aware of everything that's going on, whether it's sounds, whether it's body language. They are always watching our body language and always reading from us. So are they aware? Certainly they are. Very, very, very much. But it's I can't repeat it often enough. It's a very subtle kind of behavior, and you have to be open to the person with the animal must be open to it too.
Right. Now, one of the greatest scholars of bovine behavior is Temple Grandin.
Yes.
Do you have people with autism who come here, and do they relate differently, or?
Yes, we have special needs groups come to the farm, and the young people relate in once again subtle ways with the animals. They will. I will never forget the day that we had a young boy came here. He was maybe 8 years old, and he was very autistic. And Alice was a donkey who had been with us for quite a while. Alice was quite old. She was in her late 20s. And Alice really liked best just to stand and sleep in the barnyard. Well, Alice was, the group came, and the young boy went over to Alice, and he was around her, and I was somewhere else, but I happened to turn, and I saw him with her. And then the next thing I knew, he had thrown his arms over her back, and he was lying there with his head on her. And I timed them. He was there for 4 minutes. They didn't move. The two of them just responded to each other. It was really quite something.
Yeah.
And then he went on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And do you ever have biologists come out and study, examine, ask you questions about?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
No, we haven't.
You think that would be a
yes,
a great...
we have over the decades we have had many opportunities to work with the University of Guelph.
Right.
But no, we haven't had any wildlife biologists come out, or livestock
Interesting.
experts.
Yeah, yeah. Because you think it would be a great opportunity.
Yes. Well.
Now, do you know why different names are given to donkeys? Why are some mules, asses, donkeys, burros?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, donkeys and mules and horses are members of the equid family, and one of the branches of that family are the wild asses, and the donkeys are the domesticated descendants of wild asses.
Okay.
Mules are hybrid animals. They have a horse parent and a donkey parent. Mules are sterile. They don't breed, and each mule that is born, from my experience, has an interesting combination from the mule parent and the horse parent. So that's horses, mules, and asses. As I say, donkeys are the domesticated descendants of asses.
Right.
If you want me to get into the language that is used to describe them, which is mainly derogatory, I can certainly go into that, not with any pleasure, but it's a fact that we have, people don't realize how powerful words are and how strong they are, and words are like hammers. And people have, I made reference earlier to the instinct of the donkey to stand still and assess a situation. Humans call that stubborn. They say people are stubborn as a mule, stubborn as an ass, stupid as an ass, asinine, so on. Yeah. And these words serve to reinforce the too broad impression that donkeys and mules are stupid animals. Mm-hmm. It's all tied in with the use of these words in that way. Right. I know that you can. I mean, humans do it with all animals. People are sly as a fox, or
that's right.
Or wily as a coyote.
Wisdom
or,
of the owl.
Yes.
All these different things.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
And the only problem with that is that people then respond to the animals in a way that, in many instances, is unduly negative.
Right,
and
so it just perpetuates a stereotype.
Yes, yes.
And people uncritically think about, those types of things, and then it gets passed on.
That's right.
On. Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Well, I think in this era, when I started the sanctuary back in 1992, the whole world of so-called political correctness was just starting to to be. And over the 30 years that we've been going, I've been so pleased to see that so many people are so much more sensitive to words now. And there are those who will say, oh, that's only PC and that's nothing. But it's not. It's very important.
Yeah.
So all that we can do is educate, and hope that we are heard.
Well, towards that end, you might be happy to know that my Twitter handle is @criticaldonkey, to make the donkey smart.
That's lovely.
Because I'm a professor of critical thinking. So
right.
My website's even criticaldonkey.com.
Good.
So
Good.
I'm trying to bring some type of reputable status to these poor animals. Here's a kind of an unusual question. Don't know if you're a fan of Western movies, but in the late 60s, Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine made this movie called Two Mules for Sister Sarah.
I never saw it.
Check it out.
Okay.
They're both brilliant.
Oh, good.
It's kind of a comedy serial thing, but it really shows the talent of both of those actors.
Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know, right?
My goodness.
Yeah. So here's the deal. One of my favorite movie composer of all time, this gentleman named Ennio Morricone.
Oh,
Don't know if you ever saw the movie The Mission.
Oh, yes.
That's him, right?
He also did the music for Eastwood's Italian movies.
Oh,
didn't he?
all the spaghetti westerns. Yeah. Hang 'em High, High Plains Drifter. Oh, yeah. So he did the music, and you should really check it out. We'll try to dub it in. I'll get our producer Troy to dub it in as we're talking. But the way the music works is he has a piccolo flute and something like a sax, like a tenor sax or something, playing off of each other to create the bray,
the
sound of a donkey.
Oh, interesting.
It's very clever.
Interesting.
Just saw it. It was just on about a week ago, and I thought,
where did you see it?
Just on Turner something. Turner.
Oh,
movies.
Turner movies.
Yeah.
Do you know that in the 1980s or early 80s, Turner bought up the films from whatever studios that he was able to, and then he started Turner movies. So he owns the rights to
so maybe that's why
hundreds.
See all these things, and he colorized a few, right? As well.
Yes.
To show us the difference. I think he might have done it with. I don't know about Christmas Carol, but you can see. I prefer the black and white, but you can see it in color if you want. Interesting. Curious. Do you have a particular? You mentioned kind of meditation. So would you consider yourself? My question is, do you have a philosophical or religious doctrine which motivates you in your work? And I'm guessing Zen Buddhism might be along the lines.
I follow the teachings of Christ. I used to be a member of one of the Christian denominations, the Anglican Church of Canada. But I worked for years to try to have them change the language of the services, and because the language of the services is so male dominated. I mean, they say the word father and everything a million times. I didn't have much luck with it. The Anglican service has changed a bit, but not much. So, as I say, I follow the teachings of Christ. I meditate. I am familiar with the teachings of Buddha, and I see great merit in them, and I go on silent retreats and this sort of thing. But I'm not any kind of a Buddhist scholar. So yes, there is a spiritual dimension to my life. What is the dominant influence, though, is my conviction that we live in an interdependent world, and that everything is linked. Whether it's trees, it's trees, the other animals, people. It's a very indigenous kind of spirituality, I think. which has been growing over the years and is now a very profound part of my life.
Yeah. And you must experience that on a daily basis.
Yes.
Out here.
I do.
Oh,
I
for
do.
Sure.
I do.
And do you get a sense that people tie into that they connect to that when they come here?
I think people are, when anyone comes to the DSC, and I say anyone because it's one hardly hears otherwise, after they've been here for 10, 15 minutes, they are inclined to comment on the peacefulness of the place,
right,
on the serenity of the animals, and that comes, of course, thanks to the input of a lot of people who make it happen, both our volunteers and our staff. But there is a kind of a peacefulness to the environment here that is really palpable.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely feel it. Yeah. Wonderful. Final question for you. A colleague of mine, a philosopher, kind of the godfather of the animal rights movement.
Singer?
Peter Singer.
Yes.
He's been on the podcast.
Yes, he has.
So he believes that if any animal can suffer, that it's sentient, that it's owed ethical consideration, that we owe it that. And
Right.
he believes that where and when possible, we should reduce the amount of suffering in species
Yes.
that can experience that kind of suffering. So Dr. Singer, I believe he, as do I and many others, that's exactly what you're doing. You're reducing the suffering for a particular type of animal, and I think that must be very, very gratifying in many ways.
Yes, it is. It is very. I mean, we are helping so many animals, but most of all, we're educating people,
Yes.
and that is really what our work is. We have the two prongs. We have the animal welfare education, and we have the animal rescue.
Right.
And the two elements are how we focus,
Wonderful.
how we work.
Wonderful.
Certainly, Peter Singer's work is marvelous.
It is.
I come at his work from this position of the interdependence of everything,
Right.
and so the reason why we should help the other animals is because we're all linked together and we're all working together.
Absolutely. Sandra, I'd like to thank you very much for
My
allowing
pleasure.
us the opportunity to come out to this amazing place, and I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm sure thousands of other people do as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you.